Thank you very much, everyone. Now, the Vice Chancellor has just awarded our keynote speaker a professor of photography. So I'm going to call, he just said it to me. I'm calling on you, sir, our distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Peter Okebukola, OFR, Chairman of the Council, National Open University of Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay, you are back. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be here this morning, and I bring greetings from the National Open University of Nigeria, the largest university in the whole of Africa. We enroll, wait for it, 600,000 students. The next to us is the University of South Africa with about half of our student population. The theme of the 2022 meeting, this forum, is higher education resilience in Africa post-COVID-19. I'm happy to be building on the intervention of the Mayor and the Vice Chancellor on issues relating to how Africa has been resilient. Resilience means bouncing back after being bashed. And I have some early words of appreciation. I'd like to thank God for keeping us. I lost several of my friends during the COVID-19 period. Professor Yebida Kwobe, I'd lost about 3 vice chancellors, and a number of my friends, relations. So I want to start by thanking God for making it possible for me to be here, for Pascal to be here, for all of us to be here. And I am extending earthly words of appreciation to Pascal, a very powerful man indeed. Actually, your P, if I saw P as your initial, P Anosike, I would say powerful Anosike. He's a very wonderful man, highly intellectually endowed. And Our Excellency, you see, you see some dignitaries in this room, and you cannot know how big in terms of power that they are. Our Excellency, Professor Sarah Anyang Agbo, used to be the #1 person in the whole of Africa in science, technology, innovation, and education. She was the commissioner for the African Union. She used to command all heads of state and government, 54, 55 of them. When she talks, they shake. And so we're here today. I'd like to thank our Vice Chancellor, Professor Ian Campbell, Professor Olushola Oyewole, who is my boss. That's the AAU Secretary General. AAU is Association of African Universities. I thank you for what you're doing since you assumed office as the Secretary General of that wonderful association. Now, you see something VIGBE. VIGBE is the Virtual Institute for Capacity Building Higher Education. Now, I'm appreciating all VIGBE graduates. VIGBE has been attended, the institute has been attended by vice chancellors all over Africa, by directors of academic planning, directors of ICT, and all the heads of national quality assurance agencies. We have been developing, we have been building our capacities in the place, and many of them are online. I think we have like 60-something people online. I'd like to thank you all. Dr. Adele Ogunso, I thank you too. So what's my storyline going to be? Very easy. We're looking at resilience post-COVID-19. So we'd like to see where we were before COVID-19. We'd like to see where we are now. If you think COVID-19 is over, you must be joking. We're in the dying days. I've lived the dying days of COVID-19. I'm going to make a forecast for 2025. Why 2025? Why not 2030? Why not 2050? Because the future is not for us to see. I mean, you can plan. Okay, we planned in 2019 for 2020. Who knew that something would strike? So I'm not going to go beyond my nose, not too far. My forecast is 2025. And I'm going to be filtering through six variables, if you like: access, quality, relevant, efficiency, equity, and funding. Let's move on very quickly to where we were in 2019, just before COVID-19 struck. We're going to look at the landscape of higher education in Africa. The Vice Chancellor mentioned about 1,000 and something universities in Africa. The data may be correct, but the correct data for 2019 are what we are seeing on the screen. When you talk about higher education, you only don't mean universities. Nigeria alone, we have over 500. You know, I put 2,805. Nigeria alone, we have over 500. We have 219 universities. So when you add up the polytechnics, the course of education, you look at all over Africa. By the way, I'm president of an organization that has footprints in all countries in Africa. It's called the Global University Network for Innovation. And we are able to glean data from everywhere. So that's what we have. Tertiary enrollment rates, you can see what it is, a paltry 13.2%. As the Vice Chancellor said, we have enrolled. So look at the data that we have on this screen. That's where we were. But let's take on the filters that I said, the clusters of variables. For quality, in 2019, we are in Africa average, largely fair, and not as bad as people portray. When I go to places in Nigeria and Africa, they will say, oh, the quality of our graduates, hopeless. Now lie, big lie. Big lie, because the same thing all over the world. And just on the side, we have a global quality assurance organization. And I served as the chairman of council of that global organization. So I'm able to see the perspectives from all countries of the world. The UK, the US, Spain, everywhere. No place is exempt. It's a normal curve, by the way. You have some people in the middle, 60-something%, and on the left-hand side tails, you have some. So nobody should come to tell me in Nigeria. There are plenty in Nigeria, the press. Oh, useless graduates, I say a lie. Because we have some bright ones. How come the UK people are looking for Nigerian graduates? How come the US people are looking for Nigerian graduates? When they get here, they become top of the pack. So relevance, yes, we have. There's some challenge there. We are not able to relate relevance. You're going to see my next slide, something that relates to relevance. Efficiency below 70%. Let me tell you what efficiency means here as I go along. Efficiency, like in physics, is efficiency of a machine, like the process in the university, like the University of VC Keurig here. Output over input times 100. That is, if you have 100 students enrolling in the University of Wolverhampton for a 4-year degree program, and at the end of 4 years, 50 of them graduate, the efficiency is 50 over 100 times 100. That's 50% efficiency. Now, if you have 100, all of them graduating, it's 100%, very simple calculation. So 70%, that's what we had. Funding was generally poor. Governance, the VC mentioned it, failed to meet the mark in some areas. So this is this thing. This man has 4 children, 4 sons. And they live in an apartment, and the landlord said, look. This is your boy looking like Jaguda here. Jaguda means somebody who's not, doesn't go to school. Why don't you throw this man out? Oh, the man said, look, this man with BSc, the man with MBA, PhD, they have no job. This is the only man who is getting us money. It's like, I can't throw him out. Yeah, so the thing is relevance. Let's go to during COVID-19. What happened all over the continent? Access, of course, diminished, and new entrants couldn't come in, diminished by a factor of 0.2. Lockdown, those who are in there are not able to go out. You had that diminished factor. Quality depressed, because unlike in the UK, as the Vice Chancellor said, you were able to make a quick switch between face-to-face, and suddenly you can't meet your students again, you switch to online. We couldn't do that in large numbers, because many of our professorate of our staff were largely were unprepared. So the interesting thing some of them were doing, use WhatsApp, because they're very used to WhatsApp to do this thing, or set up some Zoom account, 45 minutes for a 2-hour lecture or 1.5-hour lecture. After 45 minutes, the thing cuts off, and they'll be looking for how to reconnect. So that's a challenge. Efficiency, of course, took a passion. Efficiency, now I'm doing a ranking. I'm leading the National Committee for Ranking Nigerian Universities. And we had a meeting yesterday, and I saw some universities 0, 0, 0 for 4-year graduation period. And I said, why? They said, of course, universities were locked down for a year, So there's no way you will get the graduates the 4-year phase. So efficiency will take a drop. Equity worsened and funding. Globally, there was depression. Nationally, there was depression. So there's no money to run the place. I mean, the money that came in, you got to ration it. So the higher education system took a beating. Now let's look at today, the dying days of COVID-19. What do we have? Access. We're trying to return Africa to the pre-COVID-19 days. So universities are doing their best to catch up. Quality. Well, the part of improvement, we've seen what capacity deficits we are, and our university lecturers and all that, doing the best they can in e-learning delivery. Relevance. Many African countries, incidentally, are rejigging, re-engineering their curriculum. And so when the curriculum, they found the gap analysis, they found that, this curriculum that we're using is not producing people that are relevant. So there is the call that, okay, you have to make your curriculum relevant. So the changes are going on there. So we're hoping, for now, relevance, some improvement. Efficiencies on the march, and equity, yes, some improvement there. Funding, the dark days are not over. Slight improvement, but dark days are not over. Most African countries are still struggling with poverty. 70% poverty level, maybe 68% region-wide. And the private universities, like Professor Kirik's University, is getting the parents to pay more is a challenge. Even in the public university of Ibadan, where a vice chancellor, he was a great vice chancellor, to pay ₦1 more than what they were paying 200 years ago, something years ago, is a challenge. So we learned some lessons from COVID-19. I'm going to highlight 7 of them. There are more than this. One is that blended learning is here to stay. You can't escape it. 2 is that we're able to see the weak capacity of our higher education teachers to deliver online learning. I have a story that was long before COVID-19. In 1992, we were on a training program for UNESCO. Developing a book, Guide to Teaching and Learning in Higher Education. So we went to this university in the UK. Professor Shabani and I, were busy, working on a PC, trying to send emails. Then one professor came, said, "Oh, my friends, I was told that you can send some materials." By true story, you can send some materials as attachment through email. So yes, of course. You have something? Oh, yes. I have a friend in Manchester. I need to send some materials to him. Said, okay, do you have the email ID? Said, what's email ID? Oh, email address. So I don't know. Phone the person. Let the person give you the email ID, and then you can then get the thing and we'll send. So the following day he came, and he wrote the email ID in some funny form. It's okay, that's fine. So where are the things you want to attach? So the man came with about 10 books, wrapped together into the two. I said, listen, attach it like this. True story. But fast track to now, quite a number of our, well, not quite, just a sprinkle, are not able, they're not, maybe willingness is what I want to say, okay, I'm retiring in a few years. So why bother me? Why bother me? Make her go on with this man analog state and they retire. But we'll keep telling them. And that's our institute. We're building capacity for you to be able to catch up with the times. So infrastructure deficit, the VC mentioned it. We have deficit regarding power supply, internet supply, and all that. A little bit expensive, but steps are being taken as we see as I walk down the road with you. Community service, not stop with this thing. And the practical work, that's a lesson we learned. Practical work, severely hindered. But of course, we have virtual labs. I have 2 of my PhD candidates, not students, candidates, who are working on virtual labs for their doctorate degree. I will find that virtual labs, fairly good alternative for if you cannot meet face to face. So we learned, that's a lesson we learned, that yes, you are hindered, you cannot go on the field trip. You cannot do practical work. You can do WhatsApp to be doing a lecture, but you can still use virtual labs. And it taught us, that's the last lesson, not in any order though, that with little funds, you can still do your best to deliver on quality. Now there are, what I've listed here are 14 events, 14 things happening in Africa as I speak that 90% of you here are not aware of. Why did I say 90%? Because I conducted a study with several groups over the last 6 months, and we found that in Africa, where Mama is, they'll be talking about many of these things just in their corner there. In Africa, very few. When I ask vice chancellors, do you know this? What are you talking about? Do you know this? And they say they are doing it for the whole of Africa. So I've told Professor Yewole, and I'm going to ask him from 2 weeks from today, I'm going to start a series of awareness raising on these very important issues. Ratification and implementation of the Addis. We had the launch of the AAU West Africa office, and this came out. Pan-African Quality Assurance Accreditation Agency. If I ask you what is that, you will not know. PACWA, Mama, they don't know. So my goal now, the next 6 months, is to take each of these and let all the higher education practitioners, all the stakeholders be aware of these things. Pan-African Qualifications Framework, African Higher Education and Research Space, Pan-African University, Africa Center of Excellence. Our mommy here is the director of one of the leading centers in Ibadan. Ask your UI people. Ask them. Center of Excellence in whatever. They don't know. I'm not saying all, but most don't know, even within your university campus. So the idea is let's be familiar with this. Hacker Initiative, African Standards and Guidelines for Quality Assurance, CESAD, and all the things I've listed here for time. I'm not going to, but I'm going to be using the next several months to propagate, let people be aware. I've done narrowing down to my country, a great country, the heart of Africa, the best country in the whole of the region. Yes. That's where Anosuke is from. That's where I did. And that's where Mama, they had a training. Wonderful. Let me tell you a few things that are happening there. My boss, Professor Abubakar Adamu Rashid, that's the Executive Secretary of National Universities Commission, a great man indeed. The National Universities Commission is the #1 regulator for university education in Nigeria. It funds, look, I was Executive Secretary of that commission 21 years ago. And what that commission did while I was there, we fund all feeder universities. So I get money for a VC there, give him money to pay salaries, give him money to run his university for capital grant and all of that. Now, we concerned with quality, setting quality standards and enforcing accreditation and all of that. So Baba Rashid, as I fondly call him, he came up with this blueprint, 2019-2023, with these goals. I'm happy to let you know that we are moving very well under his leadership in the attainment of these goals. One component of it is the development, re-engineering of the curriculum. We found that the curriculum is dated and is not responsive to the needs of the Nigerian students. We did a gap analysis, labor market survey. We asked them, look, biochemists like Professor Aboye, biochemists, how working in the private sector and the public sector, we asked the employers, these biochemists were turning up. What are their knowledge gaps? And they told us. So we listed them. What are their skills gaps? We listed them. We went to the courts. Our lawyers from our law schools, what challenges are they having? Our medical doctors went to private hospitals, public hospitals. What these people are bringing out to you, what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? So on the basis of that, Baba Rashid now came up with people to develop this new curriculum. Let me go back a little bit. In 2000, before I came into office as Executive Secretary in 2001, in 1992, the Executive Secretary had what we call the minimum academic standards. unlike what you have in the UK, Nigeria university system, we have a scheme where the minimum standards are centrally set. And these minimum standards must be applied in your university for you to be accredited, either institutionally or programmatically. So came up with minimum academic standards, MAS for short. The person who took over from Professor Abdulkader changed it to benchmark statements, because he saw that in the QAA, they love these benchmark statements. To become a medical doctor, just have just some statements. Okay, when I came into office, 2001, I said, we have strength in the minimum academic standards where you are detailed, and we have strength in the benchmark, which you had as scanty. So I combined the two of them to be benchmark minimum academic standards. That was 21 years ago. But now we say, look, BMAS is not where it's gone. Why don't we now have what we call the core curriculum minimum academic standards? So the name has changed to CCMAS. So what you are seeing here, and I'm happy to find, and it's the first one I'm showing here, architecture, that's Professor Kirit. He was the leader of well done, the leader of the group for architecture. So we have for all 17 disciplines. And you'll be able to see, you can see that's the cover. We have the major highlights you have there. Time does not permit, I will share this contents with you. Time does not permit me to let you see all of this. But what I will say in this part of the story, what I'm saying is that, yes, post-COVID-19, to ensure our resilience, we are now getting the curriculum, which is the heart of the matter. If you get the curriculum, implementing the curriculum, you can find all the other variables to ensure that these are. So these are the major highlights of the CCMAS. Let's see. I'm pausing here. I think that's the last one for this bit. On entrepreneurship. We have repackaged the entrepreneurship. And the one person that I adore in terms of entrepreneurship, Professor Awodu. I'm so delighted that you asked Professor Awodu to come. You recall that in 2003, because Professor Basanjo will keep bashing me and say, look, you are executive secretary, your graduate, people are graduating and they're not coming out, they are not entrepreneurial. So I got my council together, my commission, and we started the entrepreneurship program in the Nigerian university system. So that's the correct history. It's not just started. We got the vice chancellors together, got the director of academic planning and all of that, and we came up with 4 heavy entrepreneurship courses. And Kwara State University, that was where it was from. And I started doing a ranking of the delivery system on entrepreneurship in all our universities. Professor Awodu, excuse me. Kwara State University, what was your rank? In 2005, I think I did that. What was your number 1? Kwara State University was number 1. So, and Awodu, yes, I'll tell you where I'm. Professor Awodu was the director of that center. Fantastic. I'd like you to applaud him because we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship. You have Pan-African University and you have Covenant University. The 3 of them, almost like the first in that group. So we have now repackaged the thing and introduced entrepreneurship in every discipline, every program. So if you are doing, for a semester, you are doing 10 courses, you have to have entrepreneurship in every course. In my time, it was entrepreneurship 4 compulsory courses throughout your stay in the university. But now, if you're doing chemistry 101, inorganic chemistry, in there, you have entrepreneurship embedded in it. So the lecturer in chemistry 101 will have to tell you how you can, inorganic, how you can make some money through inorganic chemistry. If it's physics 101, maybe electronics or something, we'll tell you how you can make some money there. So every program has it. That's the beauty of what we now have. We're also projecting to 2050. Baba Rashid, that's Professor Abubakar Adamu Rashid, said, okay, look, people, in 2050, Nigeria will be the third most populous country in the whole world. the whole world. How are you going to feed them? How are we going to house them? How are we going to transport them? How are we going to educate them? How are we going to take care of the health security? So we got people together and we've developed this blueprint. This blueprint is the master of all blueprints, mother of all blueprints, where we have strategic goals, what we need to get there, and all the things that it takes. So that's post COVID-19. Let's look at the forecast for 2025 for resilience as I move towards the end of this. I have some assumptions, some key assumptions that are driving this forecast. I want to assume that African leaders, this assumption, you know, go work, are committed to reducing corruption. I'm not really sure that will work, but I'm going to assume that. So that funds are freed for education, especially education. Did you know that when I was at AUC, the students would come and say, look. No, sorry, the vice chancellor will come and tell me, oh, you must get the president to let them charge fees. I said, no problem. Let's go to President Obasanjo. I will carry them, and the pro-chancellor will go to President Obasanjo. President Obasanjo was very clear that so long as it's there, so long as it's a sitting president there, no kobo increase in tuition. I said, well, Baba, we need money for this. He asked me, what do you need money for? We need to improve, and I will let him know the origin of the increase in salary at Baba Obasanjo's time. How do you, that we want the take-home pay, it's not taking them home, take-home pay of the university staff to increase? He said, by how much? I said, by a factor of 3. And he approved it. For vice chancellors, it was a factor of almost like, look, the vice chancellor at that time, before I left office, were earning maybe like about 300 something, almost 400,000 naira. Before I left office, it jumped to 1.4 million. Yes, Obasanjo did that. So I then said to him, look, I need money for research. We need money for the labs to work. So how much do you need? I called the vice chancellors again. Okay, what do we need? Okay, this. And then we had a special charge called the Direct Teaching and Laboratory Course Grant, DTLC. That's what he started. So if for now we're able to reduce corruption, my forecast will mean that more funds will be freed for higher education. I want to assume so also that we are not going to be stricken by another pandemic. We cannot tell. This is mutating. There can be another one. Monkey don't come now for pox and so many things. So I want to assume that for my forecast period, that's not going to, and then that the implementation of Agenda 2063, the owners of Agenda 2063 are here. These are the owners. Yes, Mama, are you? That will be less dependent, Mama, will be less dependent on externals. Ownership. No, beyond ownership. Financial, put your money where your mouth is. So, but we are not doing that. We sublet our future to people who are going to give us peanuts. Let me give you another very true story as a roundup. Where to the African Union, the heads of state and government say, oh yeah, let's have what we call let's have an agency for the whole of Africa that can be doing accreditation. So, in other words, at the University of Ibadan, AUC can come to accredit your geology program. At Bingham University, AUC can come to accredit your medical or architecture program. And then you can say, look, I want to go beyond the national accreditation. I want a continental accreditation. So at a higher level. So I was contracted to do a feasibility study. Is it feasible to have an agency up there? The Pan-African Quality Assurance and Accreditation Agency. So I was given the I was given the consultancy with somebody from Europe, a European. So I then told them by the time they were to pay, I said, we're going to pay you this. I said, but that's fine, no problem with that. Money is not a big issue. But that money you say you are paying me is our money. He said, no, no, no. It's European Union money. I said, no, it's my money. They say, how? I said, because our leaders have stolen all the money and put it in your banks. And all they are doing is the small interest that they're throwing it back at us. And that's the thing. They laughed, but they know this is true. And I gave the example. One of our leaders, Abacha, stole almost like, well, that's what alleged to have stolen, about $8 billion US put in the bank in Switzerland or somewhere. So you are now getting some people. So what I'm saying, the assumption I'm having here is that, Mama, we will go stop the development of foreign aid and drivers. And the other assumption is that AAU, that's led by Professor Olushola Oyewole, a great man indeed, will be strengthened to optimally implement a strategic plan covering the forecast period, and that will embrace ODL internationally. So what do I envisage in another 3 years? I envisage that access will increase by at least 15%, driven largely by ODL. What about quality? I estimate it will increase, to improve, because we anticipate better resourcing, which will translate to, at least in part, to improvement in the delivery system. Relevance, efficiency, as you can read on the screen, equity, funding. I have made my projections here. But, you know, this is like a regression equation. You have brought in all of these variables. I do your prediction accuracy. So when we meet, Pascal, in 2025, I'm going to check myself out, how my predictions, the real power of my forecast. Now let's talk about entrepreneurship, because this beautiful 2022 program put together by Pascal has entrepreneurship as a major slice. And a book we're going to be presenting very soon is here, his book on entrepreneurship. But don't let's do this entrepreneurship by mouth alone. Since 2005, everywhere it's fashionable. Every vice will come. I want an entrepreneurial university. The mantra, if you actually Google, you find that entrepreneurship is one of the things, most frequently occurring word. But sadly, very sadly, it's theoretical. Theoretical. You have boots on the ground, like you have in Professor Wodo's place. And of course, we have a lot of inhibitors. Why is this not happening? Those that are teaching them, now just theory them note. Theoretical entrepreneurs. Funding constraints. You say set up an entrepreneurship center. I'm sorry, I'm going to be using some pidgin English here. Money no day, no money to set up the center. So delivering quality entrepreneurship is a big challenge indeed. So I'm recommending that we have a model in Nigeria because of it's practically focused. It's infused in every degree program and it's compulsory. We're talking about resilience. Let's look at 10 impediments that are inhibiting resilience. Weak political commitment, lip service to true quality entrepreneurial education. We have a professorate of diminishing quality. You see, when in 2001, when the World Bank said, oh, they require me to set up a database of professors in the system, and I put all these things where I wrote advices or send me CVs, we put all this on a site. Are you able to see the quality of the professors in terms of their scholarship, in terms of their citations, well, of course, related to scholarship? So what then do we have today? And I'm sure it is global, not only in Nigeria. Those who are professors now, they are of, I'm not being absolute, generally a little notch down in terms of the scholarship. You pick the CV of the professor. It cannot match a lecturer grade 1 University of Ibadan. But they are professors. So that's an impediment to resilience. So if you are not good enough, you are being promoted or appointed to the position of professor, and then you have to assess somebody else. You know, the lens that you are using to fill that one is your weak lens, because you are weak yourself. So you end up, oh, yes, pass. The VC will come at A&P. The person has 3 favorable assessments. Approved. Okay, weaker person now comes in. The weaker person is the one that will assess the others. So it goes all the way down the road, kicking the poor quality can down the road. Our students now are not as committed as we were in those days. When I was at the University of Ibadan in 1970, I will leave Independence Hall, go to chemistry at 7 a.m. We'll be there. We'll do Maths 1. We're doing German. We're doing French. We'll write notes. We're very committed. What do you have now? They are in jeans, so they will just put this kind of paper at the back of this, and they come there. So the commitment, the reading culture has depressed significantly. So that's an impediment. In order to change, you want to change, you go to Senate, the old reliables. I'm sure the VC will have that experience. Those old ones, no, we can't. We used to do it this, do this. Oh, the world has changed, but they won't want to change like that. And then in Africa, we have linguistic diversity. Okay, you organize a conference in Africa. You can't translate to English, you can't translate to French, to Portuguese, to Arabic, to all these phones that you can see here: Anglophone, Francophone, Lusophone, Arabophone, every phone, they're there. Yeah, so we have that as impediment. Inadequacy of this instability of academic calendar. All over the place, like in Nigeria, some public universities are not in session on account of strike, but I'm sure that will be over very soon. And the coordinated expansion of all universities, public and private. By way of concluding remarks, what's the moral of my story? The moral of my story is this. We'll keep going around in circles in terms of resolution. 2 years ago, I asked one of my undergraduate students to take all the conclusions or recommendations of all national conferences in Nigeria from 1968 to 2 years ago. Just extract them. I then ran into a friend. They were having, he was to have a conference at the University of Calabar, and he said, "Oh, Prof, I met him at, I think, Port Harcourt Airport. Can you please come give us a keynote address?" I said, about what? He said, they're having something on education and all that. So, but if you are busy at that time, they can change the conference. I said, no, don't change your conference. You just go ahead. Say, why? I said, don't worry, because I know what the conclusion of your conference will be like. He said, no, am I a wizard? I said, I'm not a wizard, but I'll send you the communique of your conference before that time. And because you see, from that 1968 till 2 years ago, it's the same thing. Go and check, log funding, all these things, the same thing. And nobody's acting on them. So I sent the thing to him. So he saw me a month after the conference. He said, yes, you are really a wizard. I said, no, because I know we'll be saying the same thing all over. So the moral of my story here is that we're going to come up with recommendations here. And I'm sure next one recommendation, repeating the whole thing. So it's my plea. My plea is for our political people to revise these challenges threats on the face and to which we have easy and ready solution. Thank you very much and have the best.
We also are supposed to debate, don't we?
Please, I think I will request for a standing ovation for our professor. This is, no, he doesn't like it, but we'll do. Let's just start. Thank you, my Oga. He has given us the truth and nothing but the truth.
As I said, I'm from the National Open University of Nigeria, and we have some token of appreciation for 3 persons here. So, yeah, the first is for the man who brought us here, Pascal Anosike, PhD, FRSA, Director, Center for African Entrepreneurship and Leadership, University of Wolverhampton. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next is for the Vice Chancellor, who is not here. We very wish to receive this on his behalf. Professor Ian Campbell, Chair Vice Chancellor, University of Wolverhampton. Yes. Yeah. And the last but not the least is to Excellency. You know, when Pascal said mayor of this, I said, no, my friend. I like to pronounce it the way my name is Okebukola. So you pronounce it another way. I feel a little bit clumsy. So I said, Pascal, I know that the Brits call it mayor, not mayor. Which kind of mayor be that? Yeah, and you know, when the vice said, okay, pronounce it correctly, mayor. So I'm happy on behalf of the National University of Nigeria, National University of Nigeria, to present this to the right worshipful Councillor Sandra Samuels, OBE, 163rd Mayor of Wolverhampton. Mayor of Wolverhampton.